I wanted to share a few words about getting ready for a body scan if we're living with extreme distress or triggered states to do with trauma or just general anxiety or depression. If it's really hard to do a traditional body scan that asks us to connect to the breath or do moving of the breath, that can just make things a lot worse. But there's some other things that can be helpful too if we're working with a body scan from a history of trauma. So the first thing is to really, oh, here comes the dog to join us. The first thing is to choose a room in your home where you can feel safe enough, where you can feel that you won't be disturbed. And the first thing, of course, is pets. And with pets, what can be really helpful is just to accept that the pet is part of the body scan, so that we don't need to stop them from disturbing us. So body scanning and mindfulness is about paying attention to what's here. And if part of what's here is your pet doing something you wish they weren't doing, rather than like all of that resistance to what's happening, perhaps we can just allow the experience to be here as part of the body scan. So when we're doing a body scan, it may feel and indeed sound like the whole point is to listen to what you're being invited to do by the voice on the tape and do it. And then all sorts of things start happening that kind of get in the way of that, and we start to get a secondary voice cropping up inside our heads or inside our experience, resisting what's actually happening. And so even when we're body scanning, even when my voice is saying, can you feel your big toe? What sensations do you notice in your knee? If what's happening for you is a noise, or the sensation of a cat climbing all over the top of you, or a sensation somewhere else in the body, it can be really helpful in that moment to kind of let go of listening to the guidance and silently acknowledging, okay, pause on my face, or noise, or this sort of rocking motion I'm getting through my leg right now, or churn in my stomach. And once we've acknowledged what's happening and dropped the resistance to it, that voice is going on saying, oh no, that's got to stop, it's getting in the way of my relaxation. Actually dropping the resistance to it is the very thing that can let our attention move more easily back into listening to the guidance and feeling the sensations in the body. So that mindfulness is kind of like this multi-layered experience, moment on moment on moment. One moment with the guidance, listening, one moment feeling a sensation, one moment noticing what, until you've listened to this, maybe we thought of as a distraction. It's just no longer a distraction. It's just a moment of experience, and then we acknowledge it. There's another moment of experience. If there was resistance, we could drop the resistance. If there was a voice judging, that's wrong, I'm wrong, this is wrong, we could just drop that judging. And then the new moment can be to arrive back. What's she saying? We've moved to the hip. What am I feeling in my hip? So the dropping of resistance, the dropping of judgment, the acceptance that body scans involve beginning again, over and over and over again, can just be a much more settling and calming and relaxing experience. Not because the guidance took us into that relaxation, but the dropping of resistance, the dropping of aversion, the dropping of judgment created an environment where settling was more possible. So that's the first thing. The second thing is being in a room that feels safe enough. So just check out the environment. And when we're living with trauma, it can be really helpful just to check out whether it feels okay, to have a look under sofas or behind bookcases and just kind of reassure the little child inside ourselves, yeah, it's okay, it's safe. And simultaneously to know that we're doing this, that this is an adult, grown-up part of us that is able and willing to check out. So the child inside of us gets evidence, yeah, okay, it's safe enough. So really feel free to kind of reconnaissance your room before you start. And then consider how to have the door, and consider where you are in relation to the door. So for myself, I really hate practicing or meditating body scanning with my back to an open door. It's just my history and the way I am, and you might want to try that out too. So I always try and sit quite close to a wall, or lie down quite close to a wall, and have that sort of sense of being held by the floor and the wall around me. You might want to turn off your phone, or if that doesn't feel safe, really turn the ringer down low. And you might want to let other people in your house know this is, if there is anyone else in your house, know that this is what you're doing for the next 10, 20 or 30 minutes, so that they're unlikely to come barging in, because that can really be triggering if somebody comes whooshing in a hurry. You might want to consider putting a note on the door, just a polite note to remind them, I'll be free at 11:20 or whatever time this is going to finish. Can your question wait until then? So it's kind of a negotiation with the other people in the house. Can I just have this piece of time, tiny piece of time really, to practice this thing that's helping me, that's supporting me, that's helping me learn a way to support myself and therefore support you. So the next thing is the posture that we take and where we are. So I've got yoga mats, but if you haven't got yoga mats, it's not an issue at all. You can, if you're going to lie down, you can lie on a rug. You might want to put some blankets on the floor. You can lie on the sofa. You could lie on the mattress on your bed. The thing is, if the floor's hard, it's more likely to keep us awake, but it's also more likely to support us really evenly, so that as the muscles of the body realise, oh, there's nothing to do for the next 20 minutes, the muscles kind of get the message, oh, they kind of switch off a little. Even if the mind's still racing or there's pounding elsewhere in the body, the muscles of movement, legs and arms, begin to kind of slow down. And if they're supported evenly, that letting go process can be much more helpful. In fact, in yoga, this is the way all yoga classes are finished, in what's called shavasana, where we lie on the floor really evenly, legs even, arms even, so that as the body lets go, there's no tension on the ligaments and tendons in your body. And when you lie down, you might want to lie completely flat, but you might want to lie, so I'm going to have to move the dog now, you see how he likes this. So you might want to lie flat, but you might want to lie with the soles of your feet on the floor. Are you going to move, little one? He's not. I'll move. Whoops. So like this. And then you can take your feet apart and rest your knees on each other, so that can be comfortable. And you might want to take a folded blanket to put under your head, or a cushion to put under your head. But what can also be really lovely is to lie with your legs up on the sofa. So to do this, you want to get quite close into the sofa, come down onto your elbows so you're not like going to crash to the floor, and then lift one leg, lift the other leg. You have to sort of wriggle yourself around, lifting your hips. So you can see that right from the back of your knee to your ankle is supported. That's safer for your knees. If your knees are kind of dangling like this for 20 minutes or half an hour unsupported, sometimes that can just exacerbate knee issues. And you ease your way down and take a cushion under your head if that's comfy. Okay, so there are a few different ideas for lying. If you think you're going to fall asleep, or if you have, when you've been doing body scans, repeatedly fallen asleep, then you might prefer to sit up. And there's a video on sitting for meditation, using a chair or using blocks or a kneeling stool. There's one more option. You can sit, but it also can be really nice to sit leaning against a wall if you've got a free piece of wall. And you just bring your bottom as close to the skirting as possible. And it might be nice to sit up on a cushion, not only because the floor might be hard, but because it's just a bit easier on the hips. And then sitting with crossed legs or your legs straight out. And if your legs are straight out, it can be really helpful for your knees to put a rolled blanket underneath your knees. You know, knees very rarely completely straighten out, and so if you're there for half an hour, again, the knee ligaments can get overstretched if they were slightly bent, and then gravity's pulling the knees, the backs of the knees to the floor for half an hour. That can do some damage, but this gets rid of all that problem. And then you just wriggle yourself back, and you're leaning on the wall, nicely supported and comfortable. And if you haven't got a piece of wall, you can do exactly the same thing. Have a cushion next to the sofa and your rolled up blanket, or sitting cross-legged if that's comfy for you. So I hope some of those suggestions are helpful, and you can find a way to lie or to sit that will be supportive for your body scan practice.